There's a fine line between selfishness and responsibility, and it is his responsibility to make plays for BYU, and he's done it in the biggest of stages, and he's not going to be shy.
Fredette held to 5 points in the first half. He now has 8 in the second half for a total of 13.
It's a set play to try and get Raggi a 3, and there Fredette's going to carry the ball. That's something, Travis, when watching film on him, I thought he's really flirts with it a lot from being close to palming with the ball. I can't really complain because that's something I did a lot. That was always a point of emphasis at the start of every year. I remember I started at point guard my junior year. It's like once a game I would get called for carrying the ball. So, Jimmer, I feel your pain, buddy. Got Doug McDermott back on the floor.
Wayne Runnels trying to play in there with the big boys, but size hurt him in that possession.
And that's just where he's a little bit overmatched. That's a tough call. It seems like all game long there's been hand checking taking place on guys that are driving to the basket. Interesting that they'd elect to call that foul now.
Creighton substitution, number 25, Kenny Lawson Jr.
So here comes Kenny Lawson.
Again, watch Davies popping out in a handoff, possibly here with Jimmer Fredette. Or Penn in now.
There's the rebound for McDermott. Now a double-double and a foul called on Fredette. First personal on Jimmer Fredette. You see the frustration with him.
You can read it in his body language. He's frustrated.
Kenny Lawson has to get involved, though, Nick. He's still only with 3 points tonight.
It's a bad shot. That's a bad shot, Trav. You have a little bit of momentum. Things have been going well. Take a quick shot. So the freshman's still learning.
Count it.
Big swing right there. Again, you have shaky shot selection on offense for the freshman Jahins Managa. And on the other end, Kenny Lawson Jr. compounds the problem. Now a three-point play opportunity for Brandon Davies.
Tough swing for the Blue Jays. Now down 6, under 10 minutes to go. But in the second half, the Blue Jays have had answers to BYU's runs. There's Antoine with a one-hander, can't get it to go. That's a tough one, tough possession for the Blue Jays.
Got to get a stop right now. They look to attack Caleb Korver. He'll smell blood here.
Collinsworth with 1, 2, 3 tries, and he can, third time's a charm.
Pretty frustrating. I can guarantee you Greg McDermott will show that play on film. You can't allow a freshman to get 3 opportunities at an offensive rebound putback in the lane. Someone's got to put a body on somebody.
And again, BYU comes up with a defensive stop. Hartstock finishes with a dunk. Doug McDermott needs a 30-second timeout. Wow, has this thing turned around? Rebounds. Doug, the first freshman in Creighton, for Creighton to have a double-double since Bob Harstad in 1988. That's pretty good company, too.
Very good company.
A sign of things to come. You mentioned longevity. That means not getting hurt. And he's so young, and he's got so much skill already. Good things are going to come to Doug McDermott. Pass inside to Runnels. That was tough. Kicks it back out to Korver. Under 10 on the shot clock. Back inside to McDermott. Watch him challenge. Swatted away.
Again, strength still a little bit of an issue for the freshman.
Fredette can't finish.
Gotta come up with this loose ball.
Jump ball gonna belong. No, who are they gonna say?
Possession to the Blue Jays.
He needs to step up right now. He's on the bench talking to assistant coach Steve Lutz. It's been the freshman, Doug McDermott, that's been the story. And I think it's a little bit unfair to put all the pressure on the freshman to make all the plays when you got a fifth-year senior.
BYU doing a good job defensively.
They've switched it up from man and zone, and they've really locked down in the past 5 minutes of this game.
Antoine gets one to go. Jays needed that bucket.
We talked about Kenny Lawson Jr. needing to step up. Antoine Young's another guy that needs to start playing well.
BYU, as Timber Fredette can't get it to go, goes inside. But Nick, you really look at the difference in the second half and why they've pulled away. You've got 4 BYU players in double figures now, and they're starting to own the paint. BYU with 34 points in the paint, Creighton with just 26. So the BYU Cougars have been able to do it from the outside in the first half. They've gone to the inside in the second half.
They got great balance, great mix of players. A lot of guys can do a lot of different things. And even when Jimmer Fredette's had one of his more quiet nights in his college career, they've had guys step up and score in a lot of different ways.
Blue Jays need a bucket. Every possession now going to be key because the Cougars have not shown they're going to go away at all. They do not make mistakes.
So things were happening well for Creighton. They were the aggressor and they had BYU on their heels. Right now, everything Creighton is doing with a Cougar in right up in their grill. So 9 seconds on the shot clock right now. This will be an inbounds into Antoine Young, and then Doug McDermott and Antoine Young will do a little two-man game right at the top of the key. Look for a throwback to Doug and for him to either catch and shoot or be aggressive and drive.
5 on the shot clock. At the shot clock buzzer, Antoine Young gets the 3.
In case of an emergency, you can depend on Antoine Young when things aren't going well offensively.
And Embry answers with a trifecta of his own.
Unbelievable.
That's experience.
Again, they won 30 games last year, and Embry played 28 minutes a game. He knows what it takes to win.
And that's experience, that's leadership that is just so valuable.
Now Creighton
and the Jays don't have anything like that.
No, not at all. I mean, even right now, Antoine Young, only a junior. Played behind Josh Doetzer last year and then split time with Cavell Witter last season. This is his first season really being the guy. And you're right, it's still a guards game, and good guard play wins in college basketball, and Fredette and Emery are as good of a combination as there is.
So Wayne Runnels can make it a 6-point game. And he does just that. A defensive stop here would be huge. Collinsworth. But the rebound goes to Davies.
You got to come up with a weak side rebound, and Greg McDermott immediately goes to Kenny Lawson Jr. I know they're just a little bit undersized in the interior, and Kenny Lawson needs to step up now.
Ashford throws it away. Just the 7th turnover of the game for the Blue Jays. Fredette can't finish, but Davies will. Draws the foul, count it.
The little things right now with this team. Sprinting back in transition, but it starts with taking care of the ball. Rotation rebound, transition rebound for Davies, who's really, really hurt Creighton on the glass. Offensive rebound putback. And Antoine Young had made 2 big shots. Wayne Runnels had gone to the free throw line, and they had kind of battled their way back into it. But 2 possessions of an offensive rebound putback for Davies, and Creighton is right back to a 10-point deficit. Could be 11. I think in the final 5 minutes now, you're in the bonus. I think everything's got to be aggressive to the hoop. You're going to shoot a free throw on every single foul.
Shot clock for Creighton. Side to Kenny. Just the 5th point of the game for Kenny Lawson, but the Jays needed him right there.
They got a couple with a stop. In this situation, you don't get it back on the offensive end. You got to get it back on the defensive end. Lots of times teams can think they can score their way out of a deficit, which they can't. They're going to have to get some stops right now.
Over 15,000 in the Quest Center just waiting to explode, to show some enthusiasm. With the Jays down 9 now at the 4-minute mark. 2 on the shot clock for Fredette. He still has 13 and he's had an awful night.
There you go.
Timeout on the floor. 3:50 to go. Blue Jays down 9.
Before he transferred with an eye injury in the Big East, so a very capable player.
That's a tough one for Antoine. Usually reliable from the line.
This is where when you get down on an experienced team, they're usually smart, don't beat themselves. Davies just going to work on Kenny Lawson Jr. right now. Mixing them all up, spinning baseline, up and under in the finish. He is really taking over the game in the final couple minutes here.
Davies with 18. If he makes this, make it 19. He's been the difference.
He's been averaging 7 points per game.
And he's scored the last 6 points for the Cougars, who are now up 12, matching the largest lead of the game. The Blue Jays had this thing tied inside Ashford, and it goes off the Cougars, off of Emery. Blue Jays have had this thing tied a couple different times in the second half. Eating a lot of clock.
Yeah, you got to have a little bit more of a sense of urgency right now. You don't have to panic, but stay with the Blue Jays. I think Creighton's guards need to help out the big guys, and when they feed the post, they either need to empty out on the ball side, or they need to go screen away to free up the post players so guards aren't sitting in their lap and making life difficult.
Now at the 3-minute mark, Blue Jays down 12, gonna need a run, 30 on the shot clock. Inside to McDermott, he now has 17.
And here's the thing with Greg McDermott's philosophy offensively, he doesn't like to get up and pressure, but right now the clock is not your friend. So you don't want to allow BYU to have necessarily an extremely long possession. You're down 10, you got to start forcing the issue a little bit. Kenny Lawson Jr. just continues to struggle with Brandon Davies on the block.
Is third, the team's 10. BYU into the double bonus.
So Davies with 19.
He's been great. He has been fantastic tonight, getting offensive rebound putbacks, establishing the block.
And now some of the Blue Jay fans giving up, heading to the parking lot, down 10 with 2:30 to go. But we've seen it many times here, Nick, and you were part of the games that the Blue Jays put together tremendous rallies. It's never over till it's over. Davies makes it an 11-point ball game. He's now got 20 points to lead all scores.